Rabies is a disease caused by virus that can be transmitted from animals to humans. It is deadly and has no cure but only prevention. The month of September is Rabies Awareness Month globally, with September 28th always designated as the World Rabies Day. You will be getting essential information that you're supposed to know about the disease of rabies. The information we'll be giving you will help you to know the truths about the disease of rabies, how to prevent yourself and others around you from being a victim, and how to protect yourself and others around you from death in case they're exposed. Kindly stay tuned and follow us on our handles across Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. It is very important for us to know that the virus responsible for rabies is not only a dog virus. In fact, it could be possible for a dog to live many years and not have the rabies virus. The notion that rabies virus is only a dog virus is therefore a myth that's not true. In reality, dogs like humans can only get infected with the rabies virus, and not just dogs, even cats. The animals that can be infected with rabies virus are regarded as mammals. That's animals that give birth to their children, which include bats, jackal, foxes, monkeys, raccoons, dogs, and cats. While these ones can transmit this disease to others, mammals like humans, donkeys, and cattle mostly cannot transmit the disease when infected. They can only die from rabies. Additionally, it's important that you should know that snakes, birds, and fishes cannot get rabies because they're not mammals. You can check the previous part of this video where we talked about what mammals are. What makes a lot of people think rabies is a dog virus is because humans mainly get infected by dogs that have also been infected by the rabies virus. Other animals mentioned can also infect humans, but it doesn't usually happen. They're only carriers of this virus, and only those that interact with the wild could be at risk. According to World Population Review 2025, some countries up to 56 do not have rabies, while about 141 countries have rabies still present in their places. For example, New Zealand, Germany, France, among others, are part of the country that do not have rabies virus, while United States of America, China, Korea, and Nigeria are part of those that have rabies virus still very much present. So sad to know that 59,000 deaths estimated globally to have originated from rabies every year, meaning one person dies every 9 minutes due to rabies disease. The number of animals that dies yearly, on the other hand, is hundreds of thousands, and results in great economic loss for their owners, and making their owners suffer pain, especially the ones kept as companion animals. Rabies disease is therefore a serious threat to livelihood of both humans and animals alike, thus very important to understand its prevention and control. How people get infected with rabies. Truly, most common cases of rabies results from dog bites, especially in Africa. But the main route of infection is through the saliva of an animal infected with rabies virus. That means if a dog is infected with rabies and the saliva touches an exposed wound of a human, that person stands the risk of being infected by rabies disease. If the saliva touches the wound through licking, scratch, and not even by bite, the person will get infected. If the saliva from an infected animal gets into the eye's mucous membrane, it can infect someone as well. So it's not until a rabid dog bites someone only that such person can get infected. Be aware that blood, urine, or feces of a rabid animal cannot be a route of infection. The rabies virus, once in the system of an infected person, travels gradually to the brain of such individual, and that's when symptoms start manifesting. Based on the period it can take the rabies virus to travel to the brain after being infected, there can be up to 1, 2, or 3 months before manifesting symptoms. The timing of the manifestation can depend on how much virus was able to enter into the victim's system, how many places the victim got bitten, and how close to the brain was the victim infected. In all, if nothing gets done to intervene in the situation and the rabies virus was able to travel successfully to the victim's brain, symptoms will appear, and by then, it will be too late to do anything except the miracle of God. What then are the symptoms that could be noticeable when an individual has been infected by rabies virus? Fever, headache, burning sensation at the site of bite. The situation can progress into fear of bright light, fear of water, excessive salivation, seeing or hearing things that are not normal, paralysis of the muscle, coma, and death. They can take up to 2 weeks and as much as 3 months before manifesting symptoms, and these symptoms can appear between 10 days and 6 months. The signs seen can be the same with humans, and in dogs mostly noticeable are changes in behavior, especially unprovoked aggression, abnormal vocalizations, biting at inanimate objects, paralysis, and death. One thing is certain, death. Once signs set in, both in humans and animals. Can rabies be contacted through consumption of infected animal or products from infected animals? There's a high risk of getting infected by rabies if rabid animal or animal products are consumed or exposed to. Though there's yet to be scientific proof, but such transmission has been regarded as possible. Thus, a confirmed animal that's rabid should not be consumed. The processing of such animals could prove very risky as well, because any exposed wound on your hands could be a site of entry for the rabies virus. And there has been cases where people have been reported to have been infected through this kind of situation. How do we prevent rabies? Vaccination of domestic animals, especially dogs and cats. Since we have established that most cases of rabies occur through bites from dogs and cats because they're the closest to humans, it's important that we vaccinate them to ensure they don't become infected even when exposed. When we mention that places exist where they don't experience problem of rabies virus, the reason is that they have been able to ensure that none of their animal population, especially dogs and cats, have failed to be up to date with their rabies vaccination so as to keep them protected. And when these animals are up to date with their rabies vaccination, they're sure not to be a potential risk to humans, and so everyone around them is safe. It's also essential to note that vaccination for rabies could also be done for humans at risk of exposure, which include animal health professionals and pet owners, and this is called pre-exposure prophylaxis. It's a way of getting yourself protected in case of possible encounter, thus reducing the risk and reducing the amount of post-exposure prophylaxis of rabies vaccines you will need in case you are exposed to a suspected rabid animal. To avoid any situation that can lead to dog bite. But in the event it happens, whether it was a severe bite, a scratch, or a gentle lick on broken skin, the site of the wound should be taken and isolated for monitoring within 2 weeks. If there is any sign of rabies disease manifested, it's certain the animal is rabid and can die. But if it's not, it might just be a provoked dog, and such animal might be free. Samples are obtained from the brain for testing, whilst for the one that's wrong to kill such animals or bury them indiscriminately, as it abuses their freedom and also prevents due process, thus endangering the people. If a fellow animal is bitten, and such victim is up to date with vaccination, they should be revaccinated immediately and confined for 3 days. But if found not to be up to date with rabies vaccine, such animals should vaccinated and be kept confined for up to 6 months, during which the dog would be monitored for any symptoms of rabies. If positive, all dogs and cats must be vaccinated once annually against rabies. Therefore,